Hello friends, welcome to Shorthand Academy. In this video, we are going to continue the matter which we wrote in the last video. Be ready. Ten seconds. Five seconds. Start. New Delhi is also placing the imminent visit of the FBI Director Ray next week in the context of shared security concerns of the two countries. The fact that Pannan has threatened to attack Indian Parliament on the eve of the FBI director's visit, knowing India will raise his case with US, suggests that he feels protected and has a sense of immunity. Nevertheless, while significant interests are at stake on both sides to not allow this case to damage ties, the reality is quite plain. Canada in particular and the US, not to mention another close ally of theirs, the UK, which has a flourishing Khalistan lobby, has been harboring individuals that New Delhi has declared terrorists despite India's extradition requests. New York based Pannan, who belongs to the Band 6 for Justice organization, has been organizing referendums for an independent Khalistan in India, openly supporting separatism and threatening the Indian Prime Minister and the External Affairs Minister. He publicly threatened to blow up an Air India flight on November 19. Sikh terrorists downed an Air India plane in 1985, killing 329 innocent people. Pannan issued a warning of an attack on Indira Gandhi International Airport, New Delhi, as well as the finals of the Cricket World Cup in India. This week, Pannan appeared to issue a new threat claiming that the Indian government had tried to kill him. He said the response on December 13 would shake the very foundation of the Indian Parliament. December 13 marks the anniversary of a 2021 terrorist attack on the Indian Parliament building which killed 9 people. Despite the fact that American Sikh extremists have twice attempted to bomb the Indian consulate in San Francisco, no known action has been taken by the US authorities to curb Pannan's activities. This is even more true of Canada, where Khalistani supporters wield political power. Trudeau's minority government is critically dependent on the New Democratic party which is headed by Jamit Singh, a known Khalistani sympathizer. The US, Canada, and the UK claim that they cannot take legal action against Pannan as freedom of speech and the right to peacefully protest cannot be restricted under their laws. This is not an argument that India accepts. The freedom speech cannot be used to make terrorist threats and promote separatism in another country. The US, Canada, and the UK are well aware of the history of terrorism and violence in Punjab and the immense effort to suppress it. They know that cross border support for terrorism continues and safe havens are given to Sikh terrorist leader in a neighboring country. The question therefore arises as to why these countries refuse to take any action against these elements on their own soil that target a friendly country with which they have a strategic partnership. The first principle of such a partnership should be respecting the sovereignty of the other and non interference in each other's internal affairs. The suspicion, therefore, is that these anti Indian elements and the cause they espouse is being kept as a pressure point on India by the deep state. It is interesting that the Pannan story was first leaked by more than one unidentified source to the Financial Times. Chrystia Freeland, the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, held editorial positions at the Financial Times in the UK, was the FT correspondent in Moscow and the managing editor of FT US. She also held an editorial position at the Global and Mail in Canada, to which the alleged Indian connection with the Niger case was leaked before Trudeau made his statement in Parliament. These press leaks seem to have been made to bring out the issue officially in the public domain, smarting under the actions taken by the Indian government against Canada and to give more credence to Trudeau and his government, accused by the opposition of mishandling India in the Niger case. It would have seemed to be in the interest of Canada to manipulate the leak to the FT. The dubious role of the intelligence agencies of the Five Eyes in such affairs should not be ignored. The US Drug Enforcement Agency, which is involved in the Pannan story, has its own methods of working involving active entrapment. The US Department of Justice is allegedly rather politicized. Many elements in the US media, academic circles, think tanks, human rights organizations, and the progressive sections of Democratic Party have been targeting India on democracy, human rights, and minority issues. The narrative is that the Biden administration is soft on India and its adherence to US values is suspect. The Pannan murder plot, an attempt to assassinate a US citizen on American soil, allegedly by official Indian elements, would only reinforce that narrative. While the US has been publicly asking New Delhi to cooperate with Ottawa in its investigation of the Niger case, it has never asked Canada to cooperate with India to address the latter's concern about extremist and terrorist elements that operate on Canadian soil. Likewise, end of the day, Pannan is not important enough as a target in the overall scheme of things to take such a risk as the chances of exposure would be real. India has been suffering from deadly terrorist attacks for decades, including the horrific attack in Mumbai in November 2008 that killed 166 people and injured over 300. But India has not taken out a known terrorist involved in it next door. This is not India's policy as a law abiding democratic country. It is regrettable that American, British, and Canadian agencies are working to give an international profile and respectability to terrorists like Pannan. Is the intention by some in these countries to revive a terrorist threat in a part of India where there is virtually no local support, but elements of the Sikh diaspora in the West are active in stirring up trouble?